three councils, Council Seeker, Council Anderson, and Council Condon. President, I know, other councils. So the first thing that I wanted to discuss, and I hope is a brief topic, is, so the ordinance committee had a traffic residential parking sticker meeting, public hearing, probably a month ago at this point, Karen? A month ago, and we heard from many residents of some input, some thought process, and the question I had Karen present to the committee is, and I don't mean to take this in a bold or drastic step, but is I do not feel if this council does not want, or the committee doesn't want to at least go the next step, we stop in our tracks, we kill it, because this has been going on for 10 years for me, and I do not want to waste any more of the council's time, or the council's time, and individual time, and manner if we don't think we can go the next step. Personally, and I'll open up for discussion, is you're never going to get anybody to agree on anything, so that's the first thing. A couple comments that I think struck well with me was, the hours, number of visitors, passes, and enforcement, which I completely agree with the residents. We do have to enforce more. We do have to probably look at the hours. The fee could always be looked at as well. But the question I just want to present to at least the ordinance committee with the councils, not on the ordinance committee that are here, is do we want to go the next step and focus on refining what we have as a draft for a residential parking program and going forward. So let me open it up to, and my plan is, because the second part is I've got a lot of residents in the CPA, my plan is to have at least one more ordinance committee meeting in August so that we're ready to go in September with a couple of the endeavors. So I will open up to members of the ordinance committee first about still moving forward on residential parking.
I think we should move forward.
I think we should move forward, but I would suggest that we build a foundation on it, a real firm foundation. I have taken notes with the public hearing that you hosted, and there's a lot of validity there, and I think we, as an ordinance committee, need to look at these, but I do think that, in the spirit of it, we need it fiscally, we need it to bring back our city. So my vote is yes, but cautiously building a foundation first.
Okay. Council Kennedy, you're on the committee.
Who else is on the committee?
1, 2, 3, 4. Peg's not here, she's traveling. Is that a yes?
I don't know. I mean,
Okay, fair enough.
Fair
enough.
Off the committee?
Yes, that's what I'm going to that. Council.
Yes, I think that we've been working on this thing for this many years, and that I think it makes sense that we have a parking sticker program for the city of Malden. I think it makes sense for all the reasons that we've talked about, and I would urge the committee to go forward with it.
Okay, Council Cronin?
Well, there's no question in my mind, I'm ready to move forward with it. You have to expect some controversy. You have to look at it as a working document, and you're not gonna make everybody happy, that's for sure. Especially a lot of people that came to that meeting that night. So, you have to be prepared to, there'll be some people that'll be combative. But in my mind, I know this is the best thing for the city. It may not be the best thing for a few people personally with their personal issues, okay, but there's a lot of people, and I talked to somebody on the other side of the Fellsway, okay, now he didn't have a problem, but once I got through talking to him and explaining to him what's happening on this side of the Fellsway, changed his tune, and he says, I see what you're talking about now. So I think we have to be prepared for that. Some of us have been here longer than others, so we've gone through this, but it's something that we need. And we may make some mistakes,
We will.
but it's nothing that can't be changed. As long as we get the hours right and get the implementation right and the timing, we can make this work. And I think people didn't fully understand what our direction we were going in, So, I mean, if you wanna talk about possibly lowering, the 50, but you have to be prepared to, you just can't say no fee.
Right.
Okay, if you're gonna do that, it isn't gonna work, okay, cause they're paying a fee now. You know, and a lot of them will be getting that, sticker for nothing without paying anything. I thought Neil did a tremendous job up there explaining the whole
Yeah.
thing to people. And, you know, a lot of people didn't fully understand what we were trying to accomplish here. So I'm definitely feel we should move
Any
forward.
council? President Murphy?
Yes, I guess Debbie, your comment about a foundation, and I don't know exactly what you meant by that. I struggle with, quite honestly, some of the different parts of this, and it's not just that people are gonna get upset. I look at some areas in Ward 5 that don't have any problems, at all. And I see the residents' concern about having limited access for visitors, limited access for airmen. I struggle with the fact that I really not sure we're gonna be able to enforce this. I also, one of the comments that really resonated with me during that meeting was the woman who said, I don't want a sign in front of my house. And I hadn't even really thought about 6,500 signs going up to the city. Now, I know they'll have benefit, because street sweeping will be on there, emergency numbers, snow plowing, whatever. But that's a lot of signs, and that's a lot of ugly. So that comment totally resonated with me. And it actually started to change a little bit of my opinion after listening to some of those people. And it's not that I'm afraid of the controversy, it's just I was really trying to listen to what people were saying and weigh that, against some of the benefits that we've heard from Chief Mullis, about the ability to be able to, recognize cars that belong there, the increase in the excise tax, the ability to, look and recognize where there's, Airbnbs and hoteling going on, or rooming houses. But I honestly am afraid to just roll this out without a tremendous amount of more work to understand, are we doing this right? Because I don't want it to be like JRM the last couple of weeks, where all of a sudden, we had people doing the right thing, we let them get away with it. Now we're bringing them back to do the right thing, and everybody, is up in arms and confused. So I know this I'm going a long way round in circles here for a moment, but I'm struggling with the concept these days, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought I was on board, 95%, but I'm just thinking this is an uphill battle, and I honestly am not even sure enforcement will work. Or we're gonna be enforcing it on people who, how do you put this, it's like the ticketing in the snow, clearing your sidewalk. We have some areas that you just can't clear, people are getting tickets. It doesn't really matter up in that area. So if you put this in, there's some areas that are never gonna have a problem, that really don't need sticker parking. And I think it's going to create an unfriendly environment in their neighborhood almost. I don't know, I'm struggling with it.
Yeah,
I really am struggling with it. I don't know if I could roll this out and say, okay, we're gonna, which we've been saying all along, we'll tweak it, we're gonna do this. There's so many things, whether it's visiting nurses or, people selling, like on my street, selling, the parking sticker passes. Now, how do we prevent the visitors' passes from being sold? I mean, that's so tightly controlled right now. I lost a sticker, and I had trouble getting a sticker, another visitor parking sticker from the police station, because people are selling them. So you have all these pieces, I'm just not sure we're biting off more than we can chew.
And I think that's where I come
The foundation.
with the foundation of it. it's a great program. I think it's definitely.
So can I ask you a
it-
quick question? Where do we get this foundation from?
Well, I think we have to talk through each issue and each concern. I mean,
A lot of
you know,
work.
not
That's right.
only what the residents said, but what our counselors, you know, things
When-
that could go wrong.
Can I just
And-
interrupt you with all this?
Yeah.
We are not those people. We are not the experts in parking. So if we are not gonna go forward, because I think the first part is, if we're gonna do it,
Yeah.
we have to pass something. And I think the intent is not for us to do the implementation. You have to either hire somebody or a company to come in and do it. But the challenge is, and I'm waiting to get those survey results, right now, and the reason why I'm so passionate about it is, when I have illegal apartments, and I have residents telling me to do something about it, I can't do a thing. I can't. And if we wanna do this, we can keep on going like we wanna do, because I got 7 streets right now that wanna do resident parking on their streets, we can do that. But I know it's not in Ward 5.
Maybe a pilot program.
But I know we have a pilot program, and it's working. You know what it's called? Residential parking in Ward 3, Ward 4, and Ward 1.
And
And
Ward
Ward
five.
5.
Right.
Two,
And
two
Ward
just
2.
keeps it.
But I-
And Ward 2.
Yeah,
So the issue is I don't think, we are not the parking experts, and I don't mean to say that to be disrespectfully, but if we think we're gonna sit in a room for 9 hours and come up with a better answer for the residents, we're not. And I'm not trying to say we're better than the residents, but I know, right? I think Council Connor said it best. I know this works in Ward 3. I know it works. Because when I go to parts of Ward 2, I see what happens when you don't have the parking. And if we wanna do this pilot program, we can do it. We can continue to add streets to it. But in 5 years, we'll be back here, because once we make one street legal, residential parking, the 2 streets next to it have to be that. Right? And whether it be the fee, or whether it be the time, I think we can fix that. There's no doubt about it. And the visiting nurses I mentioned many times, and all these other things, moving vans, there's a lot of that. But the major problems facing the city are people coming into the city during the week, parking in our neighborhoods. Those are commuters. There are illegal apartments, there's Airbnbs, there's crime, and there's dirty streets. The only answer we've all been able to come up with, and everybody knows is the right answer, is to have some type of program that will limit and let us know what cars are in our streets. And again, I'm one of those residents who pay the visited parking passes, and we pay for a sticker to live in the neighborhood. And guess what? It works. And I think the thing that I found ironic was the people who came and spoke on what, which I think is great. They came here, they spoke against their visitors, the parking and about this program, where there was 3 individuals from Ward 3. They were concerned. You know what? They never said they had a parking problem, because they live in a ward that has residential parking. The problem they had necessarily was at night, was limit the amount of visitors, which I get. I understand that.
You get that.
But you
But
exactly.
this is why I'm saying.
No, I understand their concern with that,
They're only concerned,
because it's for,
people are only concerned with their own issue.
exactly.
Right?
That's my point.
With their own issue. Our job is to compromise on all those issues.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm holding back is because I see the same thing developing as the last time.
Yep.
Where the libertarians are getting up there, well, I should be able to park anywhere I want, and I should be able to park all night. And some of us in this program need it more at night.
You're right.
than
Some
we
need it more in the
in
day.
the day.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And so there's, but they don't want to have zones, more zones. So if there's not gonna be more zones with different requirements, then why should those who have nighttime issues support this program if that's gonna go out? So, again, this has been you and I have introduced this 3 times in my 9 years. And each time we get to this, so I'm holding back till I see the survey,
Yeah, me tell you, that's coming.
right?
Yes, Karen.
The survey is critical. And also that we're all in it together. We're all in it together. And if, so again, I'm all for this, but I think we gotta take the step that many of the communities around us did. And ultimately, we'll see what happens, but I'm just, I was all for it. But if we're just taking care of Ward 3,
No, I didn't mean it that way. No, what I'm
no,
saying.
I'm not saying you.
Oh.
I'm saying who had the most people that got up there and squawked. It wasn't 3. It wasn't 3 people. It was a lot more than 3. They got up there and
No, I know.
squawked. and they can't even do math. And it's frustrating as hell from somebody on the other side of the city who's suffering through this. And they're saying, oh, I don't wanna pay that. So I sit here just beyond belief.
No, because
sometimes.
you're right, the challenge with this ordinance, and I'm gonna go to the other council and speak to.
And I understand Barbara's thing
No, I
more
understand
than,
because-
more than I understand the money thing. When somebody says about the sign in front of their
No,
house.
I get that, I do,
I
and that's
get
something
that,
we can all
right?
work on, right?
But
the issue is gonna become, like, my concern is, you have two problems. You have a day problem and a night problem. The only way you solve it is you have to come to a compromise in that.
right.
Because I can tell you right now, if we took the Ward 3 parking, residential in Ward 3, that would be flooded with commuters, flooded. And then you know what I'd have? I'd have everybody from Ward 3 saying, I want my parking back during the day. So
Exactly.
the problem is, in every other part of the city that doesn't have that, they're inundated. They are. I mean, I know Council Conning, because I drive through Ward 2. I know Council Anderson has some because he's near Everett. So my aunt lives on Rich Street. You know what happens? She called me up, she goes, I'm filling out the survey I wanted. I said, oh, thank you, Auntie. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because I come home at night and everybody in Everett parks on my side of the street. So these are residents who are paying their taxes, they're paying for their trash bags, they're paying all these things, and they want to be able to park in their house, and they don't have that right. So all I'm trying to do is have equity in the rest of the city. Do I think it's gonna be 100%? No. Do I think we'll fall down? No. Yeah, I do, excuse me, I think we will. But I agree with Council Kinnon too. We've gone through this before. There is no perfect parking residential program. I wish, we look at what happened with the trash bags, and I voted against it. Mine wasn't because of the revenue, mine was because I had a personal issue with the mayor with something else I wanted done, okay? But at the end of the day, people still complain about the trash bags, but I don't think there's any council in this room, whether they voted for it or not, it worked. The city looks cleaner, we recycle more, and it worked. And how many people still complain about it? A small number. It'll be the same number with the resident parking, because I think we will satisfy the bigger need of the city in terms of getting less cars off the street. There's a whole plethora of it.
So-
But we have to go on this together and to say, and what frustrates me, we can't study it anymore. I can't study it, because I know what the problems are. We all have to get in a room, come out with some hours, pass something, we hire somebody to run this,
Okay, that's
we
the next
implement it, and if we screw up, we fix it. We fix it. But I think time is crucial for us,
Just one more thing.
Council,
This is why the survey I think is important, hopefully.
because it covers over the whole city.
It covers the whole city, but the last time we did a whole city survey was in 2000, the vision of 2008. The actual survey took place in 2007. And on that survey, 47% of the people, 47 point something, said that parking was very important, that we do something about it. 47%, another 20-something percent said it was important. So the overwhelming majority thought it was important, or very important, in 2007. It's worse today.
No, and Medford's going through the same thing, they put all the parking in the squares, so what's happening now is, those people don't wanna pay the money on the squares, all their squares have parking, they're all parking in the neighborhoods. So guess what Medford's looking at? They're looking to start doing residential parking, right? And they're concerned if this green line comes in, guess what's gonna happen? Residential parking's gonna happen in Medford. And if it happens in Medford, everybody in Medford's gonna be parking in Malden, because we're gonna be surrounded by it. So it's only a matter of time. Let me yield to the other councilors that I have not spoke to, Council D'Angelo, then Council Matheson, and then Council Seeker.
Could I ask a really mundane question?
Go ahead.
We have not, you didn't set an end date for the parking survey, do you want us to close it?
How long's it been open?
2 weeks?
Went
out with the water
July
bills?
water bill.
Yeah.
Plus it's been
July 1st.
It was online about a week before that,
a month,
Yeah.
30 days.
so close it August first.
Yeah, that's fair.
How long we wait on the CPA? We got a good response on that. So we got
Was that
600.
6 weeks?
Yeah, that
Well,
was
we got
6 weeks.
662
Yeah, you wanna
responses.
keep it,
August
yeah, August 15th. Yeah, make it equal. So Councilor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we have a difference of opinion here, so I don't want to be disagreeable and go over all the stuff that happened at the hearing last month. To me, the main things, though, I do want to be sure to hit and speak to is, to me, the city hasn't had a great track record of implementing citywide programs like this, particularly ones that are going to have very specific rules and steps and signage and zones and
Can you give me an example?
the bags.
You don't think that was implemented well?
I don't, and I heard what you said, that you don't get complaints. I do, so again, I guess we just can agree to disagree there. I think that's still the major issue, or certainly one of the major issues that I hear from constituents about.
We
Two,
get complaints about the bags. That wasn't what you said, that we don't get complaints about it. What you're saying is even those of you who didn't vote for the blue bags, in hindsight, you look at it and you say, yeah, okay, I might not have, Paul, you and I took the bullet by voting for a very unpopular thing. This many years later, we see how much money has it saved, and it's worked for a number of reasons. I'm sorry, Councilor.
no, that's fine. I guess I was just more responding to the particular citywide program. The other thing is, another thing is, to me, we could be enforcing this now. I checked with Mr. Hogan and Mr. Rannigan and people in the police department. They only wrote $17,000 worth of tickets last year. They used to write hundreds of
Hold on,
thousands.
Council,
And
you're
that was
completely
years
wrong.
ago.
It's
17,000.
1.4 million.
It's 1 point, you're way off in your pocket.
No,
Way
no,
off.
no, no.
Yes, you are.
No.
Council, you were
Of
completely.
specifically police officers, not the civil enforcement, police officers. Police officers used to, not too long ago, when the value of money was actually much more too, significantly, used to write hundreds
So
of
you're talking about
thousands.
criminal.
No.
No, he's
I'm
talking
sorry.
about speeding and.
Civil.
I'm talking about speeding, traps and all that.
No,
And parking, all the things, a police officer.
But how much is the parking department written?
That could be your point. My point is that the police officers have the ability to write every ticket in the book that the civil enforcement officers have in their book. So we've made a choice, a policy decision, the council, the mayor, the city, to not have them enforce that. I would first like to see us go back to the level that they used to write those infractions. Because I think that one of the main arguments being put out there is that, well, we have no ability to enforce right now. There's no signage, and if we go to court, we're going to lose all these. While some of that may be true, I will even concede that some of it may be true, a significant amount of it might be true. We don't know how much of it. And to Councilor Murphy made an excellent point to me, is do we really need 6,500 signs, or can we do that in a more specific manner? So, Councilor Spatafor, you and I actually agree. I agree in if we're gonna do this outsourcing. To me, I'd like to hear from those people before, well before. I would be in favor of paying 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is, to get them to come in and give us real numbers on that. And that kind of goes to my first point too. Finally, last thing. I would ask for a specific timetable. Now, my recollection was that a few council meetings before we broke, before the big beating happened, I thought we had agreed, and perhaps it's my error, but I would ask the clerk and the secretary, I thought we agreed to do the robocall. That's why I did the robocall. And I'm not going to travel over that. But I have had constituents reach out to me that are interested in forming a counter group. So I'm trying to find out, could you give us a specific timetable? Because they want the ability to be able to form the group appropriately, do fundraising for it, do mailings, do robocalls, do outreach and all that stuff. So that's my one request, is to try to get a handle on that timetable better, to give the other side an opportunity to have their voice heard. So that's it. Thank you.
Council Seeger.
So I think that we should continue to address this issue. I'm not quite sure it should be done the way we have thought. I think there needs to be a lot of work with it. I mainly get calls for overnight parking. I don't necessarily get many calls for parking during the day. I have issues of overnight parking on my street in front of my house. I cannot park the cars that I need to park on my street. I think that like everyone else has said, different areas need different things, so I think we really need to look into how we're going to implement this. When we first talked about this, I don't think I really understood that we were gonna be doing as many hours as we had agreed upon, or as the ordinance committee agreed upon. I think that it really needs to be looked at. I would like to continue with it, I'm not sure how I feel about everything that has been presented and how it affects Ward 8. I get minimal calls on Linden Square with buses, people parking in the municipal lot, across the street from Morrison's and stuff like that. My main calls about parking issues are in the evening hours. So, but I am in favor of looking into it further.
Thank you, Councilor Madison.
Thank you, Chair. So, I heard someone bring up the blue bags, and the reason why that was so controversial is because it was passed at the end of the fiscal year, people weren't given notice, people felt like they weren't consulted, it happened too quickly. What I really like is ballot questions. You really put the question out to the people, and talk about government by the people, there's no better way to effectuate it. And some of the misgivings, and maybe they're misplaced, maybe there's some misinformation out there. When you read a ballot question, there can be an abstract that actually dispels some of the myths, provides the information, and arms the people with the ability to make an intelligent decision. Then you can roll it out. I think Councilor DiMaria, you said you could pilot it somewhere, and Councilor Spatafor, you said it's already being piloted in some fashion. You're right. You could actually roll it out precinct by precinct, depending on who likes the idea. Councilor Sika's ward is affected. Some other parts of the city really need it. And one of the problems that doesn't get talked about very much are these zones. They're differentiated. So one side of Clifton Street is Area 2, and another side is Area 3. So parking next to your house, you're running into some jeopardy that you're gonna, cross the street and get a ticket, even though you're a homeowner, and you have a valid pass to park there. You just might be slightly over the area. And we're actually ticketing our own residents that pay excise tax, and they're doing everything right. And I'm going into traffic commission trying to stick up for them. I think you have to eliminate those different areas. You need one pass that applies to Malden, and you need to roll it out for the people who want it. I think that's the way to go about it.
So you would say it's okay if everybody parks in Ward 3?
I don't think they will. But in your example of a Malden residents paying excise tax, yeah.
So you don't think everybody from the other part of the city would park in front of?
You're right, that's a potential pitfall. And look, we're not done with this process. This is early in the process from my understanding, and that is one of the legitimate concerns.
That's the issue.
That's something we really do need to grapple, but I think we're talking about a bigger issue than that, which is, do we even want a parking sticker program? As far as signage, we have a lot of signage that needs updating. And we need to do that anyway. And I don't mean welcome to Malden. I mean street sweeping on Tuesdays.
Oh, no, I agree.
It's a real problem. So
It is a huge problem.
I'm not so concerned. And as far as sign pollution, we're gonna be taking down some antiquated signs. I don't think that's the concern. And I think we're gonna reap some excise taxes from people who actually owe it, and there's scofflaws now, and I think we're gonna gain some revenue to pay for those signs. But I think, put it to the people. Let's not try to anticipate or guess as to what they want. Let's actually hear from the voters. That's my 2 cents, thanks.
Councilor?
Councilor Anderson.
Yes, thank you. Your first question to the body was, is there an interest in us going forward and pursuing this and flushing out all of these different concerns here? And I think by the questions that have been raised, it says, yes, there's a lot of things that need to be flushed out. That we shouldn't assume that what's been presented or what has been, what people expect will be the program is the program, because we haven't figured it all out yet. So I say that we go forward by flushing out some more of these issues, that we look at the discussion that has taken place here tonight, gives us some ammunition in which to be looking at what things need to be considered and let me get back to my blue bags. We it was unpopular. It was unpopular for us to implement something that people felt as if they were being taxed again, you know, and all of us have been on this council long enough, even for those of you who have just been on for a short period of time, to know that most people have difficulty with any change. Anything that we change is gonna be, there's pushback on it, and so we need to be able to recognize that, and recognize there are gonna be some people who have change, who have concerns, and those legitimate concerns, we need to look at and see how we can address those and make those legitimate concerns kind of go away by fixing the problems.
You ask
My
it.
comments.
Yeah,
Council Con, go ahead.
yeah, I have difficulty trying to figure out the police department. I think Councilor Kinner made a
Well,
very good comparison.
I was gonna ask if I could speak, so.
You can speak after.
Yeah.
25 years ago, I understand we had the same amount of cops,
Yep.
all right? We have minimum 15,000 more people in this city. God only knows how many more vehicles we have in this city. Back then, we were running 9-man minimum manding, 9 police officers out in the street. Some nights now, you're looking at 5, 6 police officers out in the street. So it's much more difficult to expect them to write what they used to write, okay? But my hope is that we go to a ward-based enforcement system here, so that people will be accountable for taking care of each ward. But if people don't wanna move forward, fine, I could care less, okay? But I'll tell you right now, I will aggressively pursue resident parking in my ward, cause they're down to Adams Street, Emerald Street, and I know they're gonna move, keep moving, they'll do anything not to park, and these are people that don't live in Malden, most of them, all right? These are we're worried about enforcement here. We'll be enforcing people coming into the city from Melrose, Wakefield, you know, Woburn, Medford, you know, Everett, coming over to wards 1 and 7. You know, so if, I understand Ward 8 may not have the problem, but eventually the problem's gonna push out to everybody. You know, I don't see how it really hurts the people that don't have the problem. If they don't have a problem now, they're not gonna have a problem afterwards. If I have people coming over my house, you know, I can park on the street. I can leave a couple spots in my driveway for them to park. I can have visitors passes, you know, and the chief has already said, if there's a graduation party at a certain address, call us. We can work around it. Visiting nurses, we can work around it.
And there's no enforcement on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays.
Exactly.
So how many people have those big parties in the
Right.
week?
I
Do
don't-
you want them in the week?
Right, so, you know, I understand some of the
No one's
councils
sticking in
don't
a
have
moving
as
truck.
many problems
Yeah,
as
that's the move truck.
some of us do, but some of us, it's a really
I
tough
agree.
situation. You know, especially the areas of the city that are 2- and 3-family houses, 6, 7 cars
Yeah.
in the house. I got one 2-family, they told me 10 or 11 cars in the house. You know, this is what is going on, you know, and it's only gonna get worse. So we need to push forward. We need, I mean, I envision signage now that I drive down the street, they're on telephone poles, resident parking, they're on this and that. Replacing the sign, putting different verbiage on it, but you're not gonna have 5 street signs on the street. You know, probably every 150 yards, 200 yards, you might have a sign that says resident parking, street cleaning, whatever. You know, so it isn't gonna, I don't care if there's a sign in front of my house, Jesus.
Council
Who
Kennedy?
do I care, as long as
No, I just wanted to address,
Russell Valley?
I wanted to address the police thing, and the fact is that, yes, we had 53,000 residents 25 years ago, and in the last census, we were 60,000, and we know how many more apartments we put up, and every one of us knows single-family homes now that have rentals and have 6, 8, 10 people in them. We have way more than took the census.
Yeah.
And the police calls, and we know that the police calls have gone up over 25% in those 25 years. And we haven't added one single police officer. So I'm not saying everything's perfect and nobody could write more tickets. But there's only so much that can be done on that. And the only way to get more enforcement is more money. Because the enforcement we have is almost all part-time help. And you get what you pay for in life. And do we want to pay a police officer who, you know, is gonna make $70,000 as a patrolman ticketing? Or do we wanna hire somebody who, you know, for $35,000 to be a full-time?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta use your
No.
brain in terms of what you're doing here.
And I just want to make a point, I'll give you counsel. So first of all, it was 3 years ago, the city wrote $535,000 in tickets, 3 years ago. Parking tickets, not speeding tickets, I don't know speeding tickets, I know they are down. Council Darkey was absolutely right. Last year, they wrote $1.3 million, they're up significantly. When I first started this journey, it was with the city of Everett, I met with Chief Mazie. Chief Mazie said the best thing the city of Malden has that Everett does not have is they have a non, he said civilian police and traffic enforcement. He said the hardest thing for him to do was to get the cops to write tickets in Everett. This was almost 8 years ago, because they had to bring more cops in to write the tickets, because, to Council Kinner's point, they had 6 guys in the street. You can't tell the 6 guys to stop doing what they're doing. Medical calls, we all know how those, they go to every medical call. You can't tell them not to go to robberies. You can pull them off at the train station, where we have one at the train station, to write tickets. He said, I mean, look at the city of Boston. They use non-police officers to write these tickets. If I'm gonna hire a cop, I want them doing the beat, walking neighborhoods and doing the real stuff, not writing a pocket ticket. I think enforcement is a powerful tool. If we could write 1.3 million, we could probably write $3 million in tickets. So, and I don't think it's, and when I mean an additional ticket revenue, I'm not saying Malden residents, okay? I got a picture on my phone this morning, I flipped out. 6 cars have parked in front of the Dunkin' Donuts. 6 cars. And when I called the traffic department, you know where they were? They were on the other side of the city, because a couple people called up and says, we got a bunch of cars parked in the street so nobody can get down there. So I went to Dunkin' Donuts this morning and yelled at everybody in that office, and I said, you better damn well move your cars. Because it bothers me, because in other communities, right, the ones we all want to emulate, okay, the ones we all talk about all the time, I'm not going to say their names, you know what I hear when I heard at that debate? Well, we don't go there anymore. Why don't we go to that city anymore? Because they enforce the traffic laws. So you want me to enforce the ones we have, but then you don't like the fact that we're enforcing them. So we gotta make up our mind what we want to do. If we don't pass this, which I'm fine. Listen, I live in Ward 3. I have permit parking.
Right.
I don't have a problem. I honestly don't. It's just I feel bad for the residents down the street that we gotta get a call and my hands are literally tied. Council Connor passes in Ward 2, which he's gonna have to. Ward 3 is gonna be greatly affected, John's ward, and probably Ward 1. And guess what's gonna happen there? They're gonna start doing theirs, and then before you know it, we'll have it. There might be pockets, Council. I mean, this has always been the issue with Council Ward 5. Is, you know, you get some high areas over there, but the greater good, I think, is what we gotta focus on here. And again, I don't think we're in the final stretch, but the same token is, I think the more we delay this, the worse it gets. Council Manley.
So I think we have general consensus that we want to move forward.
Yep.
What's the next step?
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. I think this is gonna be a council decision. I think, you know, I'm not asking everybody to be all on board, but the same token, if we wanna get together, I think we have to have a meeting and sit in a room and go through what we have currently drawn up. We can talk about ours. I mean, if somebody wants to present different zones, that's fine, but you gotta make it simplistic. I mean, you can't have, because
That's the foundation.
the problem with some of it was, if you look at some of those, they have like 9 zones, right? We have trouble, like Councilor Mathis has said now, where I live in Ward 3, and I know exactly what he's talking about, on Clifton Street, and I can't park in the corner because my
Zone stops.
Zone stops there.
Yeah.
Imagine coming up with a map of 17 zones for the city of Malden, because that's what you could do. I mean, you could say Ward 5, overnight parking, do all you want in certain areas. Ward 3, Upper Highland, you could have,
Can't.
but that's my problem, you
It's
wanna
gotta
make
be
it simple.
simple for our
Should we
residents.
schedule the next meeting, like the second meeting in September?
Well, we would go through committee, but I would want the entire council, because I think the problem we all see, and I know it's, and I'm not saying it happens with every committee, is the committee does this work, we bring it out to the full council, and everybody's like, I didn't go to that meeting, or I'm at other committee meetings. I think this has to be done in ordinance with the majority of the council, so when we go out, it's not us debating with Council Anderson, or Council D'Arcangelo, or Council Connor, because they're like, I couldn't make that meeting. So what I would like to do is, we can schedule a time in September, right? maybe the ordinance committee can meet in August and maybe look at the hours and maybe what we think from a math standpoint, a price could be a price point, maybe hours. We go to that meeting in September, and I would want the whole council to be there, as many people as possible, and then we come up with some type of decision and the next step going forward. And then, the council, Dr. Daniel's point, we would maybe look at entertaining bringing in some, I mean, the chamber wants parking in the square. They want parking means the square. So that's another area that's gotta come up, right? So, I mean, things are happening, but I think we should move the dial a little faster simply because this is a 10-year project, literally. Council?
Could I make a suggestion?
Yes.
And the suggestion would be that everybody who is a ward councilor write up those things which A, are most important to them,
Yep.
and B, those things which if they come off are a deal breaker for them. Because if you, I can tell, we did this before.
I know.
And there were things that came off, and I'm done.
No, it's fair.
Because I'm not supporting this, if, so, and so I'm willing to do certain things that I know my ward's gonna be against. But in the overall scope of things, if I get nighttime, it's going to be a good thing for everybody. And, again, everybody needs to do their own, their own conscience. But if you do that, at least you know you got a starting point. And you might find out from that piece of paper, those pieces of paper, we A, have commonality, or B,
We're way off.
we just ought to stop. Because if the folks from Ward 3 say, I only want daytime, and the folks from Ward 6 and 8 say, I only want nighttime, you're probably not getting to the vote you need.
No, I feel, that's why I say, I don't wanna waste anybody's
So
time.
at least you could gather it and then come back and report to everybody. That way, you will find
Yeah.
out if
I'll
there's
put together
common,
a sheet.
if there's common ground.
And I'll be honest with everybody, and this is, don't take this as disrespect. When I get these calls in these wards, and it's illegal housing and all these other things, most of the time they're not in areas that have parking during the day, okay? They're not. Some of them are at night. But my answer from now on is, if there's an illegal apartment, you got too many cars, don't call me anymore, because I've tried. I'll be completely honest with you, I'm done. I mean, I got those people up on Hawthorne Street, if you put residential parking up there, you're not gonna eliminate that problem, you're damn well gonna fix a lot of it though. All right, and now the enforcement's gonna be a problem, because if you start doing this piecemeal, council,
Like this.
but what I'm saying, Council Conley can pass Ward 2 tomorrow, he come in, get the signature, say, I wanna do 20 streets in Ward 2, like all of West Street. We don't have any more enforcement, guys. We're not gonna be able to add it without the revenue,
Yeah.
right? So then we're gonna be back to square one. So it's almost like they go together hand in hand, but the same token is, this is the last attempt, and it's not a guilt trip or anything, but I know people I've talked to, I got a lot of calls after that meeting, and they were on the positive side saying, we think this is a good thing, it's progressive thinking, and it's the way to go. I'm not gonna guilt people, I'm not gonna try to get personal if somebody votes against it, I just don't wanna waste any more time. There's a lot of other ordinances in the ordinance that I wanna get to, so if everybody can get those documents to me, write them up. I'll try to, what I will do is if you gather them before September, and if I think there's some commonality, I'll sit down with Councilor Murphy, I'll ask her for a date, and one date in September, we'll just schedule it, so like, say 7 o'clock after the meeting, we all get together, we sit in a room like this and we say, this is what this wants, what can we do? Fair enough?
Yes?
Should we just do it by the end of tonight?
I don't know if they can do it for that.
Just write a piece of paper.
Well, we get a council meeting still, right?
Yeah,
An executive session.
yeah, yeah.
And then,
So do we need a motion for that, Karen, or
We're
no?
gonna fight for that.
No, why
Okay.
don't we just email something out saying daytime, nighttime, what hours?
so, yeah, wants,
And
desires.
you guys
Yeah.
can
yeah.
just,
Email it right back.
Council, I think that's what I'm saying with the foundation, is we need to work through these, so when we roll this out, it's not like, well, we maybe can change the price, or maybe we can change the time. When we roll this out, it's successful, I think that's.
I think, I'll tell you what I'm gonna see happen too, is, I think.
Not to appease
No,
everybody.
I know, I think I'll tell you what's you're gonna see in long term. You will see quickly, and I'm not trying to point out to Council Murphy, but given that she's got that high area that most people are not gonna commute from, right, because they don't wanna walk uphill. You'll see very soon in this city, when the Airbnbs, because I went on that website the other day, there are thousands.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, there are thousands, and the city's already got thrown out of there, because Chris Webb sent some emails to them in the beginning, and they won't let have access from our domain. when somebody gets one of these next door to them, and they see people getting out of their cars with their suitcase, and they're going in, then they're gonna say, who are these people? And and you
I
know,
agree.
And
we
they
don't
got
have.
6 cars where there used to be
I-
2.
Well, because they're all driving there, they're not taking
Yeah.
Ubers, they're driving there. I saw the other day, I couldn't believe it, I saw 6 people getting out of that car with luggage, and I'm saying to myself, they cannot be related, right? And I went online, and it was on Uber, and this was Airbnb. This was on Airbnb. So this is here in Malden,
Right.
and it's coming to a neighborhood near you.
Right.
And the only way we have any chance of at least controlling it is gonna be that type of, or we do the other way, like other cities, that we start taxing them, like hotels, that's what other cities do. And if you wanna do that, I have no problem with that either, but I bet some neighborhoods are gonna be very upset when their neighbors are renting out rooms, right? So,
Yeah, what happens when
I
that
think it's-
casino opens?
oh,
Yeah.
And we don't have rules,
Well, we-
because that's what,
How about
the
even the
smart,
parking?
the
How about
shop,
even- how about
the
even the
shop
parking?
Way
people
away from
will be
that.
how about
renting
even the
out
parking?
rooms.
I'll be parking over there.
I'm just saying, they'll start
Yeah,
renting
Council
out
Connor will
rooms,
be there, he will be
because there
talking.
won't be enough hotel rooms at the right price for those people, and they'll fix the houses.
It's expensive
and
now,
they'll-
I mean, look at it now.
And they'll rent out rooms by the night.
I'll tell you, I think that it's very, very important that we, if we do move forward, that we recognize that we can give our residents some relief between, say, 4 in the afternoon and 12, 1 at night, where, you know, that's not the problem. You know what I mean? That
That's
is
right.
gonna be
That's
a
a
big
great-
thing,
Right.
between, say, 4, you already captured your,
So you're saying no
Commuter
enforcement between
parking.
those hours?
The plan
Yeah,
that
yes.
we showed
Yeah.
had no enforcement, from
Right.
4 to 12.
right, you know, and even if you expand that to 1 in the morning, you capture your overnight parkers. If you change it till 3 in the afternoon, you've already captured your MBTA parkers, but it does give people relief. Plus, the enforcement will be done during the morning hours and in the evening.
No, it's a very good point,
So-
that's good.
I think fiscally, it's better for the city too, you know, so, but there's gotta be some accountability. We have some people that write $300,000 to $400,000 on a part-time basis. And I know one individual that recently went to work 3 hours a day, he works 15 hours a week. He's averaged $2,500 a week. It's not very difficult to see people. You can walk down the street, anywhere you wanna write, you can write. People don't.
All right, but it's just real quick, and I wanna go to the
Yeah,
last thing, and then I wanna, this is gonna
Just
count me.
one more
We
thing.
can council, we can
Yeah.
council meeting, we can
Just
get
one
some-
more thing to this is, if it would behoove this process to hire a consultant that has done the setup of this with a template, rather than us sitting there and going through, what do you think about this? Someone to guide us, I mean, is that something we go for RFP, is that something we can just, make a motion and
Can
move
ask the
forward?
MRA. I mean, I can ask, I don't know where the money's coming from, I'll be honest with you.
Well, someone a consultant to set this up for us.
Yeah,
I mean-
No, I'm not, I'm saying, I don't know if we got money for that, to be quite honest with you, I don't know. So, I'll ask the, Debbie.
I just don't, you know, that would make more sense if someone knows how to do it, who did it in Everett, who did it in Somerville, to, you know, for maybe short money and say, "Oh, this is what we do, this is how we look at things, and, you know, and then
Well,
we
maybe-
make the decision,
Well, maybe I'll see if I can get a
time.
plan together with that and bring it in, some type of idea, right? I can probably have a business plan written pretty quick. Fair enough? Okay. The other topic I wanna bring up, and I know we're being recorded here, and I know there's some members, is, the last couple of weeks, I've, received some emails, and quite honestly, I took them very personally with regards to the CPA ordinance. I will say this publicly, there is absolutely nobody on this committee, or myself, who's not been willing to vote on this or look at it. I sent an email out, I believe, to the entire body during the finance meeting time, and I asked, because Councilor Kinnon was the finance chair, and he did a tremendous job this year bringing everybody in, even though we did it every year, there was a lot of time and effort put into it this year. So I sent an email out to the entire committee and asked them if we wanted to wait till after the budget was passed, because at one point it looked like it was gonna be a very contentious budget, there was gonna be layoffs, and knock on wood, we, you know, the school department didn't come away unscathed, so, you know, there was a lot of that. So we waited till the end of the budget season to do it. This is only the first meeting in the summer, which is unprecedented most time. So I wanna make a public statement and say, I have not had anybody ask me, tell me, or even myself, to wait for the CPA. I asked the entire council what they should do, and they said, wait till after the budget. We are only collecting revenue as of July 1st, right now, because the
Right.
CPA's is passed. The money isn't gonna be implemented until next year, so what I want everybody to do is, we're gonna take it up, Council DeMaria, I know you're an advocate of it, I know Council Kim had a plan, there's 2 plans currently, I think one is in ordinance, one is outside of ordinance.
Yeah, one was passed by ordinance.
Yeah, one was passed by ordinance from last year,
Yes.
yes, from last year. The
Very
plan
last
is
meeting of the year.
to meet on that and be prepared in September. We will finalize a CPA program in September. And that's one of these things too, I think the entire council should come at, because I know there's 2 different plans, 2 different sides. And I'm letting everybody know now, because I think everybody's here, is we will be meeting in September to finalize that. But publicly, I don't know if everybody's received the same emails, but to me, it was very weird though, within the last 2 weeks, I got the same email saying, why are we holding up the process? And I told everybody, in a very nice way, is I sent an email, and I wasn't deflecting, I just said, I asked the body, do you wanna focus on, can we wait till after the finance meeting? And everybody agreed to wait after finance, okay? And this is only the first meeting, so nobody's waiting on it, nobody denied it, and I just wanted to say that publicly. Because I look around the room and I think everybody's saying the same thing, why was that
Yeah,
said?
Chair, I don't think you need to apologize at all. We've been going flat out with tons of city business, late meetings.
No,
We're not
I was,
shirking any
I'll be honest, I was
responsibility.
upset because it was like, we were delaying it.
Yeah, that's absurd.
So, I mean, everybody agreed in that email to some way, and said, let's get through finance, it was a tough time, and we will get through it. And so, in September, I will sit down with Council Murphy again, we'll pick a meeting, a time, because I want everybody to be at that meeting for the ordinance meeting, because I think what happens too is all too often, we get up there as a full body, and one half hears a story, the other half hears a story, and we'll come out with, if we can't come to an answer, we still voted on an ordinance, we go to full committee, and the vote comes there.
Okay.
Council Kinnon.
Can I'll only one request.
Yes, sir.
That the survey be printed out.
Yep.
And sent to every council.
Okay.
Survey results?
Survey results, yep.
All of you want every one of them printed, or you want them totaled?
Do you mean
You want a tally?
individual?
They're already
The
tallied.
raw data on the forms?
No, the actual survey. with
600
the
results.
graphs. Yeah, the results.
Not the 600 surveys?
Oh, no.
No, that's what I'm asking, yeah, that's what I'm asking. So you want the tally? You want the tally?
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
all the graphs and all that.
Yeah, I'm saying, you don't want the individual ones that came in the mail? The 600 of those?
No.
No, unless
Okay.
somebody wants to look at
No,
them.
no, no,
I
okay.
already have.
No, I know, I just
So-
wanna be clear, so when I put.
That's why we were asking.
That's why I'm asking, because you've been known to ask for stuff like that, Council.
For myself.
Yeah.
I don't expect.
Well, I didn't
other
know if you
people
want
to go
everybody to see,
through
so
it.
that's why I'm asking.
I wanna make sure people see that survey. 'cause
Okay,
it's
so,
very eye-opening.
so can you do this for me? You want it printed?
Hmm?
You want it printed and emailed?
I'd like it printed, so
Okay,
that.
we're gonna do both.
That way, yeah,
So,
that way
Karen,
we know
can
people
you email the
actually-
results to everybody,
And then print them
and then
out.
print them and have them mailed to their house? Okay?
Great.
Mailed to the house. I want every council mailed to the house as soon as possible, so that way you can have time to digest it. And then if we get questions, right? I'm looking at both we can meet before that, because I plan on having a meeting in
August.
August. Council, you all set, Council? You understand that?
Yeah.
Council Conan?
You're
You all set? You're,
I'm all set.
Are we done?
any other questions for the ordinance committee? Okay, motion to adjourn by Councilor Kinnon?